Let's take a look at another strategy referred to as the place value break apart. And this strategy really focuses on properties, place value, and inverse relationships. In particular, you'll see that place value is a big emphasis. And once again, kids are reasoning about the quantity of the numbers. They're just not thinking about the digits within the numbers. And you'll see how that comes into play. All right, so with a place value break apart, we can think about it as just looking at our place values. So, for example, we could think of this as 30 plus 60, 3 tens and 6 tens. And then we can also think of it as 7 plus 2. So by breaking it apart into place value, we would think of this as 30 plus 60 equals 90, and 7 plus 2 is 9. And then if we add that together, that would equal 99. All right, so let's try this one. We're adding, we have 400 plus 300. Okay, and we can start with the hundreds or with the ones, as long as you're strategic in remembering what place values you've identified. Okay, so we have 700 plus 80 and 10. 700 plus 80 is 780 plus 10 more is 790. Okay, so all of our hard work with place value is really being applied. Okay, so students can use the same procedure using subtraction. So this could be thought of as 300 minus 200, 70 minus 20, and 9 minus 5. So as we do the subtraction, and kids are really good with place value because we've worked hard on that in our NBT domain. So now we can see that 100 plus 50 plus 4 equals 154. Is it reasonable? Well, let me take a look. 200 plus 100 would be 379. Yes, it is reasonable. Okay? All right, let's take a look at a few student examples. And you'll notice that these examples are not exactly like the same strategy that I showed you in my process of setting up the place value break apart. And that's okay. We don't want this to become a lot of steps and procedures that we're following, but rather students are going to make sense of it in different ways. But it's about understanding the quantity and the operations clearly. So let's take a look.
What I did to figure out the question is I took the 42 and I broke it apart. I did 40, and then under the 0 on 40 I did a 2. And then by 40 and 2, I did a plus and a plus. And then I did 30 by the plus, and then I did a 6 by the 2.
So where do you see the 42?
Right here,
Okay.
40 and 2.
Okay, and how about the 36?
Right here, 30 and 6. And then I put an equal sign right here and right here. And I like to start with the ones because it's easier for me when if I ever have to regroup. 2 plus 6 equals 8. And 40 plus 30 equals 70. And if I put 70 and 8 together, it equals 78. And what I like to do is I put this at the bottom. They had $78
First, I'm going to write my answer sentence. write the question. Now I'm going to break it apart.
So what do
I
you
know that 40 plus 20 equals 60, and that 8 plus 7 equals 15. And then I know that 15 is like a 10 and a 5. Then I'm going to add the 60 and the 10, and that equals 70. And then the 70 and the 5, and that equals 75. He rode 75 miles. Then I knew that 9 plus 1 equals a 10, and then 80 plus 10 equals 90. And then I knew that 90 plus 10 equals 100.
I'm going to start out with a pink sentence for this problem. He had blank points left. And I call it a pink sentence because when we do this stuff in my classroom, my teacher uses her pink marker. What I did is I did 40, 400, and I broke it. It's called breaking apart. And then there's a 60. I put the 60 under the first 0, and I take away that 5, and then I put the 5 under those 2 zeros. And then I put a minus on each one. You have 232, so I do the same thing. 232.
So tell me how you know you're subtracting 232. Where do you see that?
I see it in the question. It says, then he crashed and lost. And I like to start on the ones because if you have to regroup, it's easy. 5 minus 2 equals 3. 60 minus 30 equals 30. And 400 minus 200 equals 200. Here, let me erase that. There. 200. And what you have here, does this make sense? 233. If it makes sense, that would be your answer. So in your pink sentence, you would write in the blank spot 2, 3, 3. And there's your answer.
First, I wrote my 340, and then I wrote my plus, and then I wrote a blank line because I didn't know what it was going to equal. Then I wrote my equal sign, and then I wrote the answer, and then I went back to figure it out, and I did 3 plus 3 equals 6. So I did 3, and then I did 40 plus 10 equals 50. So then I wrote a 10, and that's how I got my answer.
Right, so I hope you enjoyed those student examples and really notice that the power of understanding the inverse operation for subtraction is really helpful, and you could see that as they integrate place value strategies within the student examples.